After an epic semi-finals night that took us into the early hours of this morning, we are guaranteed another blockbuster night of squash. It's the hottest night we've got so far. The conditions will be tough. It's an all-Egyptian final in the women, and we're guaranteed a new world champion in the men. I cannot wait for this. Let's see who will be crowned 2024 world champion.
No man or woman has ruled its sport like Emma Mackay has ruled squash.
Jeffrey Huss from Melbourne, 30 years old.
The world champion, once again, Susan Devoy from New Zealand.
Jahangar Khan from Pakistan has stunned the world champion. Jamshid Khan of Pakistan takes over where Jahangir Khan left off. The world over to Rodney Martin in 4 games.
The straight game victory for the #1 seed, Michelle Martin.
It's the biggest event on the calendar. It's the 2023-2024 CIB PSA World Championships, live from Cairo. We're at the National Museum of Civilization for what should be an extraordinary night of squash. Now, Lisa, as we look back behind us, we're over 2,000 people that are coming in. There's more queuing up as well. There's a huge fan zone area, so it's first come, first served, but it can't get any busier than this.
No, absolutely can't, Joey. I mean, we turned up for rehearsal 3-4 hours ago and it was packed to the rafters. I mean, I can't believe just how early they come down. It happens time after time, every time we come to these outdoor events in Egypt. The crowd, and predominantly kids at that, they absolutely love to pack the audience here with kids. They're loud, they're vibrant, they bring the energy, and that's why it's a massive, massive advantage for the Egyptians.
It certainly is. As we look at the order of play for the finals tonight, the women's first up, all Egyptian encounter, Nour El Sherbini. She's the defending world champion and #1 seed, the world #1 playing the current world #2 and #3 seed for this event, Naron Gohar. The men, Diego Elias booking his place into his first ever world championship final, making history for Peru, playing Mustafa Rassal, the 23-year-old danger man, also from Cairo. So, I mean, you look at that there. Was it a bit of a surprise for you seeing Diego Elias coming in, taking out Ali Farag last night?
I mean, it was actually, and that's given the form of Diego Elias. I mean, he's chopped right through the draw. He's turned up right from rally 1, match 1, and he's looked as sharp as a tack. And that was a surprise in itself, given the performance that he had in El Gouna just a couple of weeks ago, where he had the change of court situation with Tariq moment, and he didn't really turn up after that. So massive regroup from him, which is excellent for his case. He's kept the match duration relatively short as well, so the physicality still in good nick as well. But it's the quality of squash that he's playing. It's an absolute joke. I mean, the way he took down Kareem Abdel-Gawad 11-1 in one of the games, it's just very, very impressive. So is it a surprise that he took down Ali Farag? Not really, given the form that he's in, but all credit to him because it's very difficult to beat 4 times world champion.
Well, Mustafa Rassal got a great track record in his own backyard, and he's been hitting his marks nicely as we hit the back end of this season. He's looking like he could be a threat as well. Again, a great result for him last night against Paul Cole.
Yeah, I mean, Mustafa Rassal, of course, we talk a lot about the ban and the changing of, you could say, the style of squash that he plays. He's linked up with James Willstrop, and he's tried to change a lot in his game, and that's, as you said, developed a lot over the course of the season. We're seeing a lot more touch in the front corners now. We're seeing lifting out the front 2 corners as well, and it's all coming together at the right time of the season for him. Fantastic, of course, to take down Superman Paul Cole. I mean, he blistered off to a 2-love head start before Superman came back in, and all honesty, when that went to the 5th game, I had written Mustafa Assal off, so all credit to him. He made it about the squash in that 5th game, and he was looking good.
Well, the history of trying to win major titles here in Egypt as a non-Egyptian is pretty brutal. Just check this out. 26 major men's titles, including platinums and world championship status. And Lisa, you have the likes of Nick Matthew, who went to world #1, winning that one back in 2010, and Gregory Gaultier, also a former world #1. So 2 modern greats of the game, and they're the sole ones that have managed to take titles in the last 26 events.
I mean, Nick Matthews won 3 world championship titles throughout that phase. As we can see there, Gregory Gaultier has taken 1. So that's 4 years of dominance, you could say, by Europeans. But when you come here, it's absolutely horrendous. As we've alluded to earlier on, they pack the crowd out. Of course, it's excellent for Egyptian squash, and it's excellent for the PSA World Tour, because they're constantly bringing the sponsorship, they're constantly bringing the money to the tour, and therefore the events are here. But it brings that massive advantage to the Egyptian players. Obviously as well, we've been playing a lot outdoors, which that heat is something that they've grown up in. They've played in it. It's not every club has air conditioning as well, so it's conditions in which they're used to. It's the crowd, it's the familiarity, and boy, when they get loud, it's absolutely brutal to play against.
Well, you said when they get loud. I mean, the ironic thing was there wasn't a clap for when Diego Elias actually took out. When he took out, sorry, we just got a bit of a thing there. When he took out, oh, goodness, I've just been knocked out of kilter. When he won against Ali Farag. So I mean, that was extraordinary yesterday. There was nothing. You literally could hear a pin drop.
Yeah, and I mean, we still had. I mean, last night was an absolute mammoth with the semi-finals. We had that after that Ali Farag match. It was. The silence was incredible. People were leaving. You could feel a real heaviness about the audience, and fair play to them, they stuck around. And as usual, Mustafa Assal predominantly plays last at these events, and they packed it right back out, and they got really loud for him in the end.
Well, the great Nicole David, whose world championship is under pressure from Nour El Sherbini, that record that is quite outrageous, looking to equal it this year. She managed to win in 2010, but also 2014. And just talking about the own backyard, this was actually at the home club of Rania Mawalili, and she saved championship balls to win that.
Yeah, this was the last World Championship title that Nicole David took out of that 8. It was in 2014, and as you said, at the Wadi Degla club, everything was set up perfectly for Rania Mawalili there. She had her home fans, she had her coach, and she was playing some incredible squash as well, and then unfortunately just the glass arm got in the way there, and she was overwhelmed by the occasion. So it was the last World Championship title for Nicole David.
And with the heat this evening, we've had it warm through the week, but there's also been 2 split venues. We had a lot of, it was quite cold at the Palm Hills. The fact it's 40 degrees Celsius, I mean, who's that going to favour with the women's match? They're both Egyptians, but they both felt the heat last night as well.
Yeah, they did, and I think, you know, Nour El Sherbini has looked a little bit vulnerable at times coming into this event. Obviously, these two just played a couple of weeks ago in El Gouna, another Egyptian event, another outdoor, not as hot as this, mind you. But Nouron Gohar, her physicality is looking excellent. As I said, Nour El Sherbini looking a little bit vulnerable there. You can't ignore the physicality, the speed, the movement, everything that Gohar's bringing in the physical aspect of the game. So who's the weather going to favour there? I'm going to go with Gohar.
You are going to, you're going to go for it?
In terms of who the weather favours, yeah.
Right, okay. Oh, I mean, we're looking at that. The pressure is on Sherbini. She takes it in a stride from an exterior, but she's got to be feeling that pressure of equalising that great record of Nicole David. I mean, Nouron Gohar's playing the best squash of her career.
I mean, she does a very good job of telling us she's not thinking about it. I'm taking one match at a time, but for 3-4 weeks now building into this event, everybody's been harping on, can she do it, can she do it? Of course, with everything that she's achieved, she's still relatively young, but she's going to retire at some point. And with everything she's achieved, you're then looking at, can you break records, can you match titles, can you get even better? And I was chatting with Lee Drew about this yesterday, and I just feel, for everything that she's achieved in the game and the type of player she is, she deserves 10 world titles. And I would like to see her take tonight and go on 2 years more and have those 10 and be the real GOAT. Yeah,
I mean, she is well, in my book, she's the greatest player ever to play the game. The crowd going for the women's final, I mean, I was quite miffed by Gohar and El Hammamy when they played. They were quite silent and subdued. I don't think we'll get that tonight, but who do you think they're going to go for? Gohar is from Cairo. We've got Nour El Sherbini from Alexandria, the tale of two cities. Will that have a factor in it, do you think, or will there be busloads coming in from Alexandria?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Nour El Sherbini was with us in the studio yesterday, and she said, I have put on bus after bus for my friends and family to come from Alexandria. I just think who she is as a person, everything that she's done for the game in Egypt, the ways that she's inspiring the kids, you hear them, they get behind the warrior princess, and it doesn't matter whether we're in Cairo, whether we're in Alexandria, it doesn't actually matter where we are in the world. Everybody gets behind Nour El Sherbini, and I think tonight the crowd are going to be behind her rather than Gohar.
But having Haitham Effat in the corner of Nouron Gohar has had a very, very positive impact on her. We've seen this kind of change of personality overnight, the relaxation and the enjoyment factor from Gohar. And that was apparent in the match with El Hammamy, which was very intense, very stressful, as it always between the two. How important is it having him here tonight?
Yeah, I mean, we saw that start in black ball. She came in very relaxed there. She was smiling. She lifted that title. It was a gold event building into the platinum in El Gouna. Carried on that form. We were interested to see whether she could with the addition of Nour El Sherbini, one of her big rivals there. And she did. And then coming in here, as you said, the influence of Haitham Effat, very smiley, very relaxed. And there was moments in that match with Hani El Hammamy where we would have seen Gohar come off court, be a little bit more argumentative with the referee, get involved with the injury breaks, just get involved with kick the door, maybe climb up the walls, have a little knock on the racket on the body of Hani El Hammamy, but she didn't. She kept herself to herself. She was very composed, very calm, and that's the word that we often use with Haitham Effat. So a massive influence there for her, and I think that that's going to come out tonight as well. Nour El Sherbini is not the type of character that's going to really get under the skin like Hani El Hammamy does and kind of bring out a little bit of a sassiness or a nastiness, if you like.
Well, Diego Ilias, who has come into this final making a bit of history in his own right, the South American. He got to world #1 back earlier this last year, should I say, and he's strolling through. This was earlier today, coming in for a practice. Well, joining me, I've got Mustafa Asal's coach, James Wilstrop, who's in the studio with me. Now, James, it's quite unique. We were talking about this previously with players coming in from the non-Egyptian, working with the top players. Saw it with Mohamed El Shebaghi, with Jonah Barrington, and it moved on from there. I mean, how did it come about with you being contacted by Mustafa and working with him?
Well, I had a chat with Lee maybe about a year ago, I think. Lee Drew, and he just had a conversation with me about it, and then Mustafa texted me, and then texted me another 2 weeks later, and then another 2 weeks after that,
Yeah,
and then
of course,
finally,
badgered you, basically.
Yeah, and then we had a chat, and yeah, I just said, right, come over, and he came over to Pontefract, and we've tried to work things out for him a little bit and help him.
How do you find it coming over here? Does he react different to you when he's over here? You've worked with him at tournaments in England and a few in America, but what's it like when he comes back home? Is there a little bit of a difference in him at all?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I think there is. I think I probably see that on the court. And he, to me, seems more comfortable. He loves the atmosphere. It seems to create a little bit of a spark in him. Having his family and friends around, and then that's something I guess that I have to try and then sort of balance a little bit, because the atmosphere here brings him up, but it can sometimes push him over a little bit, and it's just creating that new sort of, you know, this sort of calmness that he's got to be able to think clearly. Having that raging bull as well. And it's finding that mix.
Getting that mix. And when do you have a bit of an early catch up with him in the day? Because you're staying at the hotel. Or was he in bed? Because I mean, he sleeps.
I never see him.
Yeah, but you're a night owl as well. So
exactly.
basically night owls together.
Yeah, it works well. We think too much, and he loves the night, and I leave him alone in the day. He doesn't want to, you know, he doesn't reply to texts, and that's great. I like that. Because I don't either. And
sorry,
as you know,
the heat's getting to my sense of humour. It's a bit delayed.
Yeah, no. But that's it, and you've got to give him that space to breathe and do all his other things and things that take his mind away, because he is intense. He gets quite deep into his thought and the stress levels here, so you know, and it ups it a little bit over in Egypt. So it's very, very important that he just has that time away, and I don't want to pester him.
No, I get that. Do you think tonight, with all the pressure, with everything that's going on, that we're going to see a well-behaved Mustafa in this match? Because they don't get on well, these two. They wind each other up. They do wind each other up, Diego and Mustafa. And that's going to be hard work for you in between games, do you think?
Could be. I mean, yeah, last night was tricky. Yeah, I wasn't happy with it in a lot of ways, but we've come a long way with it. It wasn't a disaster. There were some movements that were a little tricky, and Diego is going to look to exploit that. I'm not saying Diego's got it's his intentions, but the movement patterns that they both create, the way they play squash, it will be tricky. So you know, I'm reiterating as much as I can to Mustafa to try to keep it as detached from all that stuff as possible, away from the referee. You know, but this is the absolute cauldron, isn't it? And you know, things change when it's a world final in Cairo. It's and then it's absolutely boiling. So
I know all the conditions, but I mean, James, I hope it goes well tonight for everyone, and I hope you are able to enjoy it as well, because it's an extraordinary occasion, and he's a terrific player. So good luck with that. Thank you, James. Appreciate that. Well, Nour El Sherbini has arrived as well. The traffic in Cairo has been as busy as ever, so she did actually get a bit of a heads up to getting early.
Nour El Sherbini!
Joining me here, Johnny Williams. Johnny, I'm starting to get a little bit of a sweat on. I'm sure that hair of yours will get wet at some point, but Nour El Sherbini, she has got that amazing record in the World Championship. She's taken out Noronha Haar in 3 World Championship finals. I mean, having seen those finals and how close they can be, do you think there's going to be a bit of residual scar tissue in the mental aspect of Noronha Haar coming into an event like this?
I think that what you're speaking about, Joe, is unavoidable, because Sherbini just has that ability to get on top of players and really carve them up, especially on that backhand side, the way she can hold the ball, switch it round, so many options she creates, so much pressure. And even in this heat, she's still going to be dangerous. So Gohar really needs to manage that. She needs to pin her back, make sure that her lengths are really hitting their marks, and try to draw out and make this a long attritional battle.
Well, Nour El Sherbini has played these events when she's had injuries galore as well, Johnny. All eyes on her. I mean, the conditions for her when she played last night, she was looking like she was struggling physically, not from an injury aspect, but just because of the heat factor. I mean, Gohar also had a tough match with El Hammami. I mean, it's got to come into it. I know it's home conditions, but I mean, this is pretty outlandish to play in these conditions. It doesn't happen that often that you're pretty much close to 40 degrees and you're still dry as a bone, you are.
I'm feeling like Roger Federer, mate. No problem at all whatsoever. Cool as a cucumber. No, I mean, we've seen the thermometer, you know, the mercury going up 31, 34, 30. It's just crazy. I don't even know if there's been a World Championship final played at 40 degrees. So we're entering new territory.
13% humidity as well.
Yeah, so I think that definitely Nour El Sherbini, we're very happy to see that Gohar was kept on court for well over an hour, and she had to work to beat El Hammamy. El Hammamy coming back in that fourth game, making one last push. So I think that Gohar, from a physical standpoint, though, has shown over the last few months that she is really in top form. She seems to have even trimmed down a little bit. Her repeat speed endurance looks at the best I've ever seen. So that's something that could play a role as the match goes on and goes into, you know, beyond the 45-minute mark.
Well, Nour Gohar has also arrived in the venue. She's certainly ready to go, the Terminator.
I hear him chat with the boys, man so tough, but man keep walking. Just too sharp with the boys, white girls better tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pine. If you wanna touch me, I'm please use caution, 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 caution,
Well, Nour Gohar's changed coaches in this last period. She's gone with Haitham Effort, who's the former coach of her bitter rival, Hania El Hammamy. She was working with one of your contemporaries, great Australian Rod Martin. I mean, the change has been quite evident. And why do you think that there's been that quite apparent personality change from Gohar in this period?
I think what you had there, Joe, is you had two very intense characters going head to head with one another for just over a year, and then we saw Nour Gohar bring Haitham Effort into the equation. She tried to have both of them there at Windy City, not sure that it worked, and as it's panned out now, we see Haitham Effort here. Rod Martin's focus has been on Olivia Weaver, so that's what she's chosen. It remains to be seen whether or not it's a choice which is going to produce a big positive. Certainly if she wins this event, she'll be saying that she made the right decision in that sense.
Well, the major event previous to this was the El Guna International Platinum Stasis event on the Red Sea. Again, brutally warm and humid conditions, but this was the first major event that Gohar's won for the 2023-24 season, and quite fitting, playing Sherbini. Now, Johnny, you thought Sherbini didn't really turn up for that match in a way, but Gohar certainly produced some of the best squash we've seen her play in her career, I would say.
Yeah, look, Gohar's, as I said, she's looking as lean as ever, and it was the repeat speed. She's able to get up the front and pick up more of those attacking shots from Sherbini. And given that we're playing on a 40-degree court here, those shots from Sherbini are coming back a little bit further in the court. So that means for Gohar, as long as she stays steady, calm in her mind, which we've seen a lot of lately, she's in a good position here to take her first World Championship, Joe.
Well, two greats of the game that will be going toe-to-toe here this evening. This women's final for the PSA World Championships for the 2023-24 season. Once again, Nour El Sherbini, the current world #1 and world champion, taking on Nour Gohar, the current world #2 but #3 seed, both from Egypt. And in the men's, Diego Elias, South American #1, former world #1, #3 seed from Peru, playing another former world #1 and #4 seed, 23-year-old Mustafa Assal. Now, Johnny, let's have a prediction from your good self for who's going to win this first world title here this evening.
I said Gohar before the event, and I've got no reason to change that right now. What I'm seeing from her is that relaxed nature off the court. I saw her sitting with Haitham Effort just before, chilled, just looking over at the Citadel. No, it really doesn't seem too flustered, and I feel that she's found the right mental state to go in and play this game, and I think that she's able to sort of put the past behind her. We're talking about the men's as well, Joey?
Go on then, Johnny, get a quick one in.
Mustafa Assal, unless it's a draw. It could be a draw as well. We could be here at 4-8.
Oh, don't say that. Come on, really?
Yeah, no, Mustafa Assal 3-1. and it'll be a great match as well.
Brilliant, Johnny. I'd love to hear positive thoughts from you. I will be heading to the commentary box with Lisa Aiken. Before that, I'm going to hand over to your MC for tonight's finals, Michael Absalom.